Right now, the Valkyries sit in the in the 8th slot in the playoff race. The Sparks are right behind them, and the Sparks have been on fire. I think they've won 8 out of their last 10. If you were to make a prediction today, right now, right this very moment with 15 games left, do the Valkyries hang on to that spot, or do the Sparks leapfrog over them and get that 8 spot?
I'd probably say that LA takes it. Just they've kind of been going on. I think they're 8-2 in their last 10. Mm-hmm. Cam Brink, of course, has come back. So I feel like all things are pointing towards an upward trajectory from them. Whereas, the Valkyries are 4-6 in their last 10. I've lost Kayla Thornton, who was our first half MVP. And I know this team isn't really like, they kind of have like a next woman up mentality, whereas, losing Kayla Thornton, who's your first half MVP, isn't as detrimental as, say, the Vegas Aces losing Asia, even though it's a best player to best player comparison. But we all know that, the Valkyries kind of have this everybody eats, whereas,
right,
they're not really built around one player. So I feel like I was very worried about Kayla Thornton going down, and I think there is genuine worry about how the team's going to look, but the team wasn't built around her, so they're kind of able to maybe still be solid while she's gone. But I think that, they kind of haven't really found a replacement for her. I wasn't on the podcast, but I would have shared my thoughts when you and Conrado were doing your thing of like, you think about Veronica Burton, right? I think Veronica Burton is like the unsung hero of the season, just being like available every single game. So I don't mean to take anything away from her, because I'm not going to. But you think of, what they like in Caitlin Chen kind of resembles a little bit of what they like in Veronica, where it's like you kind of trust the ball in their hands that they're going to make the right decision. Maybe, you don't expect high points per game, or you don't expect them to take over, but like you just maybe don't expect them to do bad. Mm-hmm. So like if you think of Veronica, she's a starter. Okay, well, they kind of like Caitlin Chen to replicate some of the Veronica stuff. So if Veronica went down, you kind of have the Carla and Caitlin Chen to mix it up in there while she's gone. And then from the Temi spot, well, now they have Rupert, they had Monique before she went down, they had Leticia Me here. Like you could see how the replacement can fit with Temi. And then, with Janelle, like you have Chechi right there, even though now Xana Lassini's starting. But with Kate, not Kate, I'm sorry, with Kayla, they don't have another wing who can defend like her. Mm-hmm. They have no real replacement for Kayla Thornton, in my opinion, when it comes to just the versatility on defense. And I know that's kind of what I expected from Janelle, and I just don't think Janelle is the level of perimeter defender that Kayla showed to be this season. Like it was like elite first team all W defense stuff from Kayla, where it's just like you put Kayla on someone, you feel good about it.
Yep.
And the first game that she's gone, you have Chechi starting at the small forward position, and she has to guard Paige. I don't remember what Paige's stats look like. But you just don't feel good about that, as you did with Kayla. Right. And so I just see this, even though it's not, the team wasn't built around Kayla. I just see her loss being of more importance than if any of those other starters went down, just because they don't really have a replacement of hers that they're maybe as comfortable as, say, if Janelle or was missing. And we saw Janelle went to Eurobasket and they were fine.
Fine, absolutely.
Veronica
fine.
went down. They have already said their replacement. So I think just with that, and then with Los Angeles kind of seemingly finding a groove. And I know some of those games were against bad teams, but you had the New York Liberty win off of was that the buzzer beater game where
Kay Jackson
Riccio hit that circus shot. But yeah, I would probably say that Los Angeles, we said earlier in the season, when you don't have your first pick, when you don't have your pick in the draft, there's no reason to tank. You kind of have to go all in. So I was a little confused to start the season when they were doing so bad, but now they're starting to find it
because they started off so poorly.
And they made the trade to bring in an all-star in Kelsey Plum. They have Derek Hamby, and they have a solid team on paper. So I would probably say that it seems like, and then on above the Valkyries being Vegas, the last two times, I guess before the blowout, the last two times the Valkyries played the Aces, I thought the game plan was clear that they were just going to cook if Vegas had two bigs out there, with another big out there with Asia, whether it was Kia Stokes or whether it was Megan Gustafson. I bet you if you look at the numbers, anytime Asia shared the court with either Kia or Megan against the Valkyries, I think we were eating. Like, I think we were playing well. But now when they trade for an Alyssa Smith and then they bring in Kirsten Bell into the starting lineup, now you have kind of these bigs that can like move and like kind of, you know, with Nalissa, she kind of has an offensive game, and just like they're not like stuck in the mud, kind of like a Keo or Gustafson was. And I felt like that starting lineup change, moving Jewel to the bench, moving no centers with Asia that are starting. Asia's now the center, but you also brought in bigger players to surround her that aren't, you know, prototypical fives that are just going to be stuck in the mud against like a fast team. And I feel like that has basically, and now I feel like the Valkyries will never win. And although this game was relatively close, I kind of feel like the Aces in that lineup change have now found a way like that the Valkyries can't like counter them in a lineup change. So I do think I side probably with the latter of, and I know I've went through my changes this season where I wanted them to tank and get an Awa Fam or get an AZ Fudd. And then they showed this resilience of like, and then I felt like, hey, there was a chance maybe they can get to 6 and avoid New York, Minnesota in that first 3-game series. But you know, you ask Natalie, she says, "Give me New York and Minnesota. I want to play anyone."
Right.
But you know, I just think this Kayla thing is going to hurt a lot more, and I think it's impacting a lot of players. Where, you know, you see like a Kate Martin, I feel like she's kind of hit a little bit of a downward trajectory in recent games, and that maybe that could be in part to her having to, you know, play more and take more responsibility maybe on defense, or she doesn't have as much of open looks on offense that she used to be getting when, you know, it's not like Kayla was an offensive threat per se, but she would get down the lane, which creates opportunity for an open player. So
I think everybody's been affected by her loss though, because she's not a true number one, but she could get a shot. Like if they were at the end of the shot clock, they would just give her the ball and she would try and create something. And in many cases, she would actually be able to make that shot. But you look at Veronica Burton's offensive numbers post injury, they're down. And you know, even Chechi, when Chechi plays, it's almost like she has to create her own space to actually get a shot off. And she's very skilled in that. You'll see the step back, but she's also tall, so she can actually create shots maybe where they don't exist. But it does seem like there's just less opportunity because the defense doesn't have to worry about Kayla, and thus they can, you know, they can worry about other folks. And I think that's part of the problem.